Hello, everyone. You're listening to Digital Builder, a podcast brought to you by Autodesk, made for construction professionals who want to hear from those on the forefront of construction technology. If you're looking for conversations centered around where the industry is going, this podcast is for you. Each episode will feature a conversation with a construction industry leader. Together, we'll dig in on themes related to connected construction and discuss where the future of the construction industry is headed. Now let's get started.
Hey everybody, before we jump into the episode, I wanted to highlight that this week we're featuring two separate interviews. First up was Adam Sopko, who leads the overall vision for Autodesk University every year. He shares everything about our highly anticipated return to an in-person event and his perspective on what's driving his team's excitement for what's coming. Afterwards, I was joined by Allison Scott and Zet Norman to dive into everything our construction attendees should be looking forward to at this year's event. So without further ado, let's jump straight in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Autodesk's Digital Builder Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Thomas. This week, we're going to talk all things Autodesk University. And if you haven't heard already, we are returning in person this year, which I am super excited about. And I've only had the chance to come to one in person before, so I think there's going to be a ton of cool things happening in September. But thank you, Adam, so much for joining us and sharing a little bit about your knowledge about AU. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks, Eric.
And how long have you been supporting or touching the AU program? I've heard your name many times, always in a very positive light, I promise. But I'm interested to know, how long have you been helping shape the experience for our customers?
I've been with Autodesk about 8 years, and for all those 8 years, I've been focused on the AU program. So I've been working with people across the company to produce this conference and our year-round effort for all that time.
I got to say, you've been knocking it out of the park, and we've had a lot of interesting stuff in the last couple of years with how AU's approached. But the one that I did get to go to in person, the experience is great. The expo hall is really cool, and we'll get into the weeds and all of that here in a few minutes. But I wanted to start off, could you just, at a base level for everybody out there who might not have attended or heard about the program, what the heck is Autodesk University and who usually attends?
I usually describe AU as a year-round program. At Autodesk, most of our customer community, they think of the event, the once a year, or the program that we would host typically in Las Vegas. But AU is a year-round program that's focused on the ways that all those in our industries learn and evolve. And so the experience is focused on the innovations, the news, the announcements, the peer-to-peer learning that helps drive so much of that forward. And here again, we're talking about anybody in our customer base, from architecture, engineering, and construction professionals to design and manufacturing professionals, media and entertainment, and even a pretty substantial software development community. So AU is this year-round program that focuses on the way that we evolve and the way that we learn and the way that we can shape the things that we do. And we punctuate that experience with these physical conferences. And so you mentioned it. It's the first time we're coming back in person since 2019. We're going to be live in New Orleans the end of this September, and we're looking forward to bringing that community back together.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've never actually been to New Orleans, so it's going to be fun to check off that box at the same time. Although, candidly, when we're working behind the scenes, it's it's hard sometimes to step out and see everything going on. We are planning a big digital builder presence there, so if you are a listener, you might run across me if you do show up in person, which would be absolutely exciting. Please do come say hello if you see me walking around the halls. There's always a theme tied to AU. And I heard that it's going to be Connect this year. And I was hoping you could share some context on why that theme was selected and also what it might mean to you and your team as well.
Well, I think it's impossible to ignore the fact that coming back together after 3 years gives us that opportunity to connect and to reconnect. So many of the people that are part of this community have been attending AU conferences for 5, 10, 15, 25 years. These are really important moments to be together, to, again, kind of share from a peer-to-peer perspective the things that are ongoing, but also very sincerely, a lot of friendships that have evolved out of the AU program. So the idea that when we're coming back this year, that we have this opportunity to connect again to our community, to each other, is really significant for us. Now, I'd say also, the reality of it is that so many of the people that rely on and that make use of Autodesk technologies, they're working in collaboration across fields and across workflows. So from design to engineering to construction, connection is critical to what we do and to what our customers do. And so if we can get together and recommit ourselves to some of those relationships that are so valuable, that's one thing. But if we can come together and explore and examine the ways that our work is developing in collaboration and dependent upon so much collaboration, that's really significant for us as well.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's going to be fun because after doing, Digital Builder for 2 years, there's a bunch of customers and peers and partners that I've spoken with at length that I've never had a chance to meet in person, as well as some colleagues. And so it's going to be fun to strengthen those connections and get a sense for what everybody's been working on and doing. It's been nearly 3 years since we've been in person together now. And with that said, after 2 very successful digital events that your team ran, can you share a little bit more about what that return to in-person actually looks like and how those digital events might have shaped that a little bit?
Yeah, I love that question. We've all been working in these remote ways for the last, we're pushing 3 years now. And we've struggled with that in the same way that anybody has. The last couple of years, we offered the AU conference as a digital conference or a virtual conference, and we saw just huge numbers. We had more than 100,000 people register for that program in both 2020 and 2021. So we want to be mindful of the fact that there's still this really significant opportunity to share what's happening at AU, to share the news and announcements that Autodesk is making with that broad online community. So we've learned a little bit about how to reach that audience, how to support that audience. We're also just really mindful of the fact that, you're in your day-to-day right now. You have a day job, you're in the field. You don't have a ton of time to commit to a digital conference experience. So as we look at AU this year and how we make it accessible and extend it to our audience online, we want to be mindful of that. The thing I would add, though, is, of course, because we're reconnecting in person, we want to make sure that experience in New Orleans is as rich and as meaningful as we can possibly make it. So the focus this year really is, again, on connection, on connect, that theme, and on some of the challenges and the topics that are driving industry. And so when you join us this fall in New Orleans, and hopefully your listeners join us as well, ideally, they're going to find a lot more opportunity just for the informal, interpersonal connections that we just haven't had the last few years. It's so difficult to network and create community when we're working from our homes, from a remote office, and in these kind of dislocated ways. So that's what we're excited about coming back in person.
And you hit the nail on the head because we've all pivoted, we've all made changes, and there's a lot of good that's come from that in the last couple of years, which I'm very thankful for. But it has introduced some gaps as far as how we connect with other people. So being able to step back in and correct that, I'm very excited about. And just the convergence of all the different opportunities here. You mentioned all the different industries Autodesk supports, and there's media and entertainment, there's manufacturing, there's all these things. And there is a lot of crossover between those industries in a way that you can learn from those peers, even if they might not be doing the same thing. And it's just really cool to see all the stuff that they're working on. There's a lot of fun that comes from that. So I am so excited, as I mentioned a minute ago, about returning to being in person again. And after 2 years of very successful digital events, I was hoping you could talk about what that return is actually going to look like and how those digital events may have impacted the experience our customers are going to have this year.
You're right. We have been digital the last couple of years, and we learned some valuable lessons about that. We learned lessons about production and reach and how it was we could engage with our customer community worldwide during that time. Really invaluable lessons. And I think maybe I told you before, we saw 100,000 people register for AU in both 2021 and 2022. But the thing that we didn't have the ability to do during those years, and this is why the return to in-person in New Orleans this year is so important, is that fundamental connection and the kind of experience that unfolds when you and I are in the same space. We're mindful of everyone's ability to kind of connect with AU, with Autodesk, with each other in those digital ways, but nothing is going to replace the opportunity to be in the same space, to be having access to the same kinds of conversations, the same connections, the same opportunity. and really in the end, the same insights into what's evolving in terms of construction industry, the solutions, the services that are out there, and of course, the substantial role that Autodesk can play there. So for folks that joining us this September, I'm really hopeful that the takeaways that they're going to have is just the meaningful opportunity to, again, be in person, to have those conversations that are, in a lot of ways, just informal and unstructured, but that lead to some of the better outcomes that you can have when you are, again, just taking advantage of that opportunity to connect again.
And it's going to be so much fun for me because there's a ton of people that I haven't had a chance to meet yet, both in the industry or within Autodesk, that I'm going to get to see, which is going to be awesome. And there's so much that you get to learn from your peers, whether it's within the same organization, whether it's from a completely different industry as well, because Autodesk supports so many different industries. We do talk about the AEC specific stuff on this show, but broadly we're hitting, manufacturing, M&E. There's a bunch of media stuff going on. It is so cool, and to see it all in one space and how all of those things overlap, I'm stoked to get to go back and be in person again. It's going to be a ton of fun.
I would add one thing here is that AU has always been this terrific place for, again, like news and announcements from Autodesk, really critical updates on our products and services. And that'll be true again this year. And there's always been an element of the conversation at AU around what's happening within industry. What are the visionary statements or thought leadership perspectives from Autodesk and from our partners and customers that are kind of driving the industry forward? Well, this year, we're trying to make that more explicit for our audience and trying to be really clear, whether you're an end user, a manager, or you're in the decision-making community and in the executive community at our customers' firms and those companies, there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of value for you at AU this year.
Yeah, I think it's such a great learning moment. And you get to learn from your peers, you get to learn from other industry partners. There's so much there. It's big picture, it's visionary conversations. It's how do I make my business better? Where is my industry going, et cetera, et cetera. And it's so cool to see all that come up on stage and have a nice glimpse into what people are actually doing on the expo hall. And overall, it's just really cool. But is there anything else that you think we should make sure everybody knows about as we get closer to AU and being in person in New Orleans this year?
Well, I would say take advantage of an opportunity to register now. The event is happening at the end of September. For a lot of people in our community, there's some muscle memory around the idea that AU was happening in November, and it's sneaking up on us this year. It's fast approaching. And so now is the opportunity to register, take advantage of some early savings on the conference pass, make sure that you're able to enroll in the sessions that are going to be most meaningful to you. And again, when you're doing that, keep an eye out for the conversations, the content, the programming that's in adjacent industries, because the learning that you might have from hearing about somebody who's working through an engineering challenge and how that might impact the way that you're progressing on a construction build, that stuff's pretty significant. There's no other place to get this substantial access to that community. I don't know that there's a bigger conference for construction professionals, certainly not for AEC professionals, than Autodesk University, and the importance of this moment. Again, reconnecting, chance to understand those challenges and really the changes and innovations that are going to help our customers meet those challenges. This is a terrific moment.
And I'm so excited that we get to have a meaningful presence for Digital Builder at the Expo this year. It's going to be a ton of fun. So like I mentioned earlier, if you see me, come say hi. I'm very interested in meeting some people and getting to expand my network. But you did tee up my next question really well. And I wanted to come back to community again, because that is so important. And I think it's the connecting thread for why AU is so dang exciting and powerful for everybody who has the privilege and the opportunity to be either in person or capturing some of this online as well. But I really did want to hear more about your personal experience with the community aspect of Autodesk University and how that all comes together and just some of your favorite things about it too. Like you mentioned earlier, like people have been coming for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's just really cool.
There is something special about the AU community. It's undeniable, and it's in a certain way, it's kind of palpable. When you're on site and you're surrounded by 10,000, 12,000, 13,000 of your peers who are working through the same challenges that you are, having those same kind of considerations day to day about how they progress their work, how they become more efficient, how they become more sustainable in the work that they're producing. It's really meaningful, but on a personal level, it's undeniable. You walk through those halls and you see this undeniable enthusiasm in the community that's there. And there was a time when we have a few rally cries on our team internally, and because there is a lot of effort and energy that goes into this. My team works on this program all year long. And it's just, I don't know, it's particularly gratifying to know that the community that comes and joins us here, that they're there for the spirit and the intention of their coming together. It's very real. It's a sincere community. They're there to learn, they're there to connect, and they're there really in the end to drive the work that they're doing forward.
And I'm going to speak about construction more specifically for a moment, because that's where my personal experience and background lies. But construction in the AEC industry at large, everybody is so thoughtful about how they share the challenges they're having and how other companies have solved them as well. And it's not really competitive play. It's more of a, we're bettering the industry. Here's how we lift each other up and empower each other. And it's so cool to see that in person and that level of excitement and enthusiasm. And I'm sure that expands to the other industries as well. But it's, I don't even have the right words for it too, because it was just such a cool thing to walk around and touch the expo and see all the technology that's being showcased and just hearing from everybody. It's going to be fun.
You're not wrong about that, and this is with all due respect to everybody in our customer base across the industries. There's just that level of enthusiasm regardless of where you go. But there is something particularly special about the construction community. It's a growing community for us. They're a substantial component of this program and this conference. The numbers don't lie, and the enthusiasm and the significance of that community being part of this program just can't be overstated.
I agree completely. The amount of passion for the people that commit to working in construction, it's not a casual decision. It's a full-on thing, and you can tell when you speak with people. I can tell every time I have an episode of the show, just the enthusiasm that I get. It's all great.
I'm going to jump in and make one last comment about the community, and this extends across the board, but the folks that do this work, that are in partnership with Autodesk, that are driving design, engineering, and construction forward, whether you're talking about infrastructure or you're talking about other building projects, the complexity of that stuff is just so fascinating. And it's just so amazing. And like the fact that you can come to an AU conference and walk away in awe and an appreciation for the work that happens on the day-to-day, like if you're not working in AEC and you're walking through your day-to-day, you're not mindful of the fact that there is so much work behind all of this around our built environment, and the complexity and the challenge associated with all of that. I mean, it's in high relief at a program like AU. It's a chance to celebrate the people that do this.
Yeah, it's a wild space to have the privilege to work in and support. And I can think of few industries where you might be touching a project that's worth 40, 60, 200, $500 million, and you have 20 or 30 separate companies all converging in this one spot with limited area to work on a timeline that is very difficult to meet. And the collaboration that comes back into it, it comes back to the theme this year of just connect. It's huge. And so I could nerd out about this for another 20 minutes, so I'm going to stop myself here. But I do appreciate you taking some time to shed some light on Autodesk University and what we're doing. But could you share where listeners should go if they want to register for the event or find any additional information?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. I do hope that folks will register and join us in New Orleans this September. If you want information, if you want to understand how to be part of the program, just go to autodeskuniversity.com.
Perfect. And I'll throw a link to that in the show notes as well, so people can easily get to that. But if anybody has any questions for you, is there a certain way they could reach out and connect with you?
Yeah, I always welcome the connection. Again, we've talked about that a great deal, and I mean that. So reach out to me on LinkedIn. And if you're at AU, look for me at AU, because I absolutely want to be connecting.
I'll second that one as well. So thank you so much again for taking your time to join me and share a little bit of your insight here. We're going to jump into another interview here in just a couple of minutes with some more construction-focused folks. But again, Adam, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Been my pleasure. Thanks, Eric.
Welcome to part 2 of our episode discussing Autodesk University's return to in-person. Joining me today to focus our discussion on what's in store for our construction peers is Allison Scott, the Director of Construction Customer Experience here at Autodesk, and Zet Norman, an Experiential Manager, also working under the construction team. I'm so happy to have both of you here. Thank you so much.
It's awesome to be here, Eric. Thanks for having us.
And Allie, you were the first guest alongside Cliff Cole that we had on Digital Builder. I think it was nearly 2 years ago now. So I'm excited to come full circle and just talk about AU again, since that was a big part of our conversation last time.
Me too. I can't believe it's really been that long. I mean, to having gone through this journey, and so much has happened in 2 years. So congrats to you, Eric, for the podcast continuing on and all the great listeners that you have.
Hey, thank you so much. And Zet, I'm excited to hear a bit more about your experience tied to the expo specifically. And we've known each other for a number of years as well, but there's so much going on behind the scenes. So it's going to be cool to unpack what the step back into being live and in person again really looks like. And of course, we kicked things off earlier with a conversation with Adam Sopko to get into a broader part of what Autodesk University really is. But this part will really narrow back in on the world of the AEC space and how Autodesk is really supporting construction this year. And before we get into those details, I do want to hear more from each of you because you have touched AU for such a long time. So Allie, could you start off just talking about your experience and history with Autodesk University and how that's changed over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. My first experience with Autodesk University was actually as a customer. So I went to AU for a number of years before joining Autodesk, since I was in the industry for quite a long time. And I just remember going to AU and looking forward to it because it was really a place where the building industry truly came together. And I could walk away feeling inspired and connected and more knowledgeable up to the brim with what my architecture brethren were doing, what engineers were doing, what and other construction firms were doing to really help me think about, like, how can I improve the way that we're working at the firm that I was at? So it's always been such a strong community. And, I know we've been missing that for the last 2 years, but I'm just so excited to go back in person. And the way it's evolved has just continued to be more and more focused on what all of us as users and users actually need. And I'm just super excited for us to see how that continues to take place in New Orleans this year.
Yeah, there's so many big picture conversations that happen where you get to learn from your peers in different industries all at the same time and really step back and go, like, what the heck is happening in construction and how do we up-level our own business? It's a ton of fun. And Zet, I'd love to hear how your journey has changed because you've been supporting AU for a number of years on the back end and you've brought some really cool stuff to the table. And I'm really happy that you're here.
Thanks for saying that, Eric. I actually joined Autodesk in 2014 and that was my first AU. And I think it's probably one of the most inspiring moments of my professional career. And I knew I wanted to get more involved with AU from that moment. It's been my privilege to be involved with the evolution of the construction story at AU, to get our message out, to hear more about ACC, and give our customers a chance to explore all our products. Who can forget bringing a construction trailer across the country and having it land in the Expo Hall in 2018. And for those that remember, it was enormous. We always try and show up in person and digitally in a big way. And we're really proud of the work we've produced. And here we are in 2022 and construction is going to show up again, our biggest ever. I'm so excited with the content and I'm really excited now for the show to start.
And as I alluded to earlier when I was speaking with Adam, Digital Builder is going to have a big presence at AU this year, which I'm very excited about. And just having the chance to come back and see everybody and meet all of the people that I've either met with digitally over the last few years or people that I know from when I was in industry prior to joining Autodesk, it's going to be a ton of fun. And I think that leads into my next question, which is tied to this year's theme of Connect. And I think this theme can be interpreted by attendees in many different ways, especially if they're coming from different industries. But I'd love to hear your feelings more specifically about how those theme show up for our construction customers specifically. Do you have any thoughts you could share on your feelings with Connect within AU this year?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's the perfect theme because we've all been a little starved of human connection over the last few years. But that's not stopped the construction industry producing transformative work together. And it's going to be fulfilling for me to see them sharing their stories out, both digitally and in person. And I can tell you, Eric, there's some exceptional classes and some talks about how the platform has supported the construction projects, not only across the country, but across continents and creating connections across the globe. And we're all going to learn something from our customers that have gone through, let's be honest, massive digital transformation in the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of years in that realm. And it's also an exciting moment too, but everybody has to come up for air and take stock of where we're at right now and say, how do we make the choices that are going to impact our business so we can be able to stay competitive over the next decade plus and really hone in on where we're putting our focus on digital tech and technology at large in the construction space. Allie, I'd love to hear your thoughts too with regards to how Connect impacts construction, all tied up within the umbrella of AU.
Totally, Eric. And Zet actually said it so eloquently. Like, just seeing people and connecting face to face is going to be, frankly, magical again, because I remember going in to AU as a customer and just building these friendships, these connections in the sense of community. And those friendships and those connections have stayed with me and have become lifelong and have really impacted not only my professional life and the way I do work, but also my career. So I'm just super excited to be able to have that chance to see people again and give people hugs and handshakes or high fives, whatever. And I know others are feeling the same way. And that strong relationship building is incredibly important in our industry, because whether we like it or not, our industry, the building industry at large, is actually very vast. And there's this large umbrella with very small components in it, right? And this notion of connection is critical to the way that we operate. So I love that this theme is imbued throughout the entire Autodesk University experience. One of the other ways it's going to show up is that you're going to hear from amazing customers, amazing thought leaders and industry leaders that are out there that are doing incredible work, small and large, tactical and transformative at every level of the programming, from Andrew's general session to the construction session to our incredible theater talks that are going to be happening down into the expo floor, down into our community meetups. And so I just think that there's going to be so much rich knowledge that you're going to be able to take away and bring right back to your work the following week.
So I think we've done a great job of painting a broad picture of Autodesk University at large, but I want to look closer at what's in store for construction. What's the first thing that comes to mind for each of you about why our attendees should be hyped this year, like when they step into our expo hall or the conference at large and start seeing what's been put together?
I think one of the things that comes to mind is what I said earlier, right? Which is that you're going to be able to walk away with very thoughtful, tangible, and actionable insights and knowledges and a knowledge base that you can put to work right away. And I think that that's always something that's top of mind for our members that come to AU, because we want to make sure that people are getting a lot of value out of the experience. We know it's an investment of time and resources to come to an in-person conference. So we want to make sure that you're walking away with something that you can actually, demonstrate and start looking at or putting to work in some way as immediately as possible. So that's one element. And you're going to see that through very strong, very focused programming and classes, as Zet and I were talking about earlier. You're going to hear from amazing thought leaders to not only get inspired about what to do and how to do things and what to think about, as you are on your digital transformation journey, but also you're going to be able to build connections with some amazing thought leaders as well. So I think, giving spaces to our customers again and to the industry again for these connections and this community to come together is just priceless. And I think everybody should be super excited.
I appreciate that. There's so much happening, and I'm hopeful that we're able to paint this picture well enough for everybody who hasn't had the privilege of attending to understand the sheer scope. I mean, there are thousands of people at Autodesk University every year. It is a very big conference, and there's a bunch of other industries that are captured at the same time as well. But Zet, how about you? Is there one thing that comes to mind that just you think people should be hyped up for this year?
Well, the whole event they should be hyped up for. And there's so much I could tell you, but I'm not allowed to share. What I can tell you, I'll let you all into my little world. There's some new programs tailored specifically for construction business leaders. We have over 60 construction classes over the 3 days. The construction session is going to be a must be there on Wednesday. But I really don't want to spoil all the surprises, Eric. What I can share is that it's going to be a not to be missed event for everyone in construction. There's something going to be there for everyone, whether you're a contractor, whether you're on the job site, in the office, you're going to take something back with you. And as Ali said, you're going to make new friends and you're going to have some real fun while you're learning from some incredible speakers.
I can vouch for all of that. And the expo floor, and this kind of leads into my next question for you, is that like the expo floor is such an exciting part of Autodesk University. And I want you to share a little bit more about the scope and the scale of that. Like if I look back to my last time I was in person, you had me manning porta potties, which were turned into like portals into the other dimension, which were crazy. And it was such a hilarious way to engage with a lot of our attendees as we were walking around and kind of getting people in. But there's what I'm trying to get to there is there's so much neat stuff to experience. It's just a ton of fun to get into. So please paint that picture. Tell us a bit more about the expo at large.
Well, I can tell you there's no porta potties this year, Eric, for definite, but there are some little gems. There are going to be some little gems, some Zetisms. The first thing I'm going to actually say is to everyone that's coming to New Orleans is don't wear new shoes, okay? Wear the most comfortable footwear that you've got because the venue in New Orleans is enormous. And the expo opens straight after Andrew's general session. And it's a great place to start your journey at AU. And it's a place to keep coming back to explore the products you've just heard about, or take the opportunity to talk to an expert, or you could just wander around and take in the inspiring industry projects that are being exhibited. There's so much going on the expo floor this year. There's so much at AU this year. You're going to need to plan your diary, Eric. And I guarantee you it's going to be a really full 3 days.
It's going to be fun. There's so much, like the shoe comment is so on point because there's so much walking and standing and moving around. I'm excited to see just the sheer size of this space compared to what we'd done in Las Vegas previously, because we are in New Orleans, remember. We're in a different space this year than we have been in the past.
I think it's going to be the largest expo we've ever had, right, Zet?
It is, yeah. And the exhibition hall is, well, it's a mile long from end to end, and there are 3 floors.
Oh my God.
So it's huge. It's huge.
It's going to be incredible, though, right? Construction has a space. There's going to be representation from on the exhibit floor from our other industries, from architecture, engineering, design and manufacturing, media and entertainment. I mean, that's one of the most favorite places that I always liked to start, to what Zet said, because it just sort of gets my mind going and like gets the wheels spinning on what's possible, and sort of breaking this notion of like setting the stage for the future. And I think that that's going to be really exciting to see all that come together. And I think that's one of the things that all of us and a lot of our members that have attended AU before have kind of missed in the last 2 years. We haven't been able to have that visceral, exciting energy of the expo floor come to life again. So it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, there's so much technology on display. all of the partners that map back into all of the different construction ecosystems. Everybody's there. It's just a great spot to see what you can do and how you can amplify what you're already doing. It's really neat. But Allie, I've got a question for you tied to community, because you're such a passionate community builder, and I know that AU has played a big role in your career in that capacity. So what's in store this year that you can share that's community driven at AU?
I think it's a great question, Eric, and I'm actually starting to build a new team right now focused on construction experience and sort of the whole way that we build community for construction customers that are engaging with Autodesk. And the notion of community is central to that for us. So the way that we're bringing that into the AU experience this year is in a couple of different ways. First off, there will be a construction area that Zet and team are certainly are conceptualizing and putting together right now. And in that space, I'm really excited that we're going to have representation from the construction community team, where we're going to be able to talk a little bit more about how do we bring community together. We're going to be able to share our online community, that we call the big room. So for everybody that's in construction that is aware about sort of some lean building methodologies, and a lot of you may be familiar with the concept of the big room, where literally everybody comes together to solve big problems that are project related. Well, we have an online community that is reflected in that same way, and it's called the big room. So we're going to have a space on the floor where you can learn about the big room. You can meet other peers. You can join the big room for free and start interacting in the big room. When you interact in the big room, you actually earn points, and you can redeem those points for different prizes, like a Yeti mug and stuff like that. We're also going to have team members that support our Autodesk Construction Cloud Learning Center on the floor. And this is going to be the first time this year that our learning programs are represented. We also know that it is so important to promote the notion of digital skills and make sure that we are democratizing those knowledge bases and demonstrating how our learning portal really does have anywhere access for everyone. In fact, you do not have to be an Autodesk customer in order to learn through the Autodesk Construction Community Learning Center. So, but we do have, new certificates of completion. We have new learning paths that we want to show off, because as our, Autodesk Construction Cloud capabilities continue to grow and our workflows continue to grow, so do our learning paths. So we want to be able to show off those capabilities and make sure that everybody that's around AU is aware that these tools and resources and peer networks and the sense of community is available to you. We're also going to be, looking for people that are interested in telling their stories. So if you are really passionate about Autodesk Construction Cloud, if you're really passionate about safety, sustainability, about the labor issues, about diversity and inclusion, we want to hear from you. We want to hear about how you're managing your quality workflows. We want to hear about some of your best practices, because we'd love to talk more about what that looks like. And some of our marketing team will help us be there to help capture your insights, and maybe we'll be able to tell your story together. So that's really a place where we're going to be able to talk not just about the amazing products and workflows, but also about how you can connect with your peers in the industry and how you can better connect with Autodesk.
There's so much good stuff mixed up in there, and we can add some links into the show notes that can get people to the big room and the learning center as well. Both are really great communities. I love the big room just because it's all of our peers talking about really cool stuff. Like, it's a very interesting and engaging community. I think I've done at least one AMA in there in the past as well. So if you want to go back and find that exists, and then we can plug the Learning Center too in here. And I just love this industry shift that we're seeing right now to more consumable and digestible training content. Because Allie, I think as you alluded to, the digital skills and technology skills are such a driver in success in being competitive in construction. And as we look to really refine what we're doing and all the groundwork that we've laid over the last few years, if you don't empower and enable your teams with these types with access to this type of training that's on demand and it's short snippets and it's not 6 hours in a room with a guy where everybody zooms out, it's huge. It's just, I love it. I'm nerding out again. I'm sorry.
No, you're right, Eric. I mean, and the notion is that you need both, right? So that's why we have amazing classes from customer experts that are at AU. That's why we want to complement those, we complement webinars, we complement, in-person training sessions with these digital learning tools, because you need lots of different ways to learn in order to digest and really understand the insights and know how to put it to work. So that's one of the ways that we're trying to make sure that we're supporting everyone at every level, depending upon your learning style and your level of expertise. So all of those things go hand in hand.
And I love the emphasis on learning style as well, because not everybody captures and retains new knowledge about new technology in the same way. And so giving people the ability to return to it or consume it in a different way has a significant impact to just that individual, but also your business at large. The ROI is huge, and there's a big reason to focus on it.
I think that one other thing there, and I'll let Zet maybe speak a little bit more about this, is that that's one of the reasons why that AU is actually